A new season, a new possibility for a new champion. The man at the front of the field, Aiden Norman in the 6'2", doesn't see that possibility. He sees a third championship in his future under the setting sun in Phoenix, Arizona at the Phoenix Raceway. A 7th season of Thursday Night Thunder begins. The 6'2" and the 5 on the front row. The Gen 4 cars are in action this time. Green flag is out. Aiden Norman leads lap number 1 of the new campaign. Donald Ray already falling off as he lost control of that race car. Ray in that number 5, now just trying to get back on the horse as it was, the native of Rockwall, Texas, in that number 5 Shell Pontiac. Now behind, Steven Oberstadt in the number 38, one of the Thursday Night Thunder rookies tonight. Running 13th, already up 2 places from where he started. Got to give it up for one of those Bluegrass Bandits. Cody Riggs in that number 3 looking fantastic. Bringing back a little bit of throwback love, which we love to see in Thursday Night Thunder. And the number 6 of Tommy Withers, sitting right now 11th in line. Thomas Andrews just ahead of him in that number 2. Tommy Withers right now being incorrectly scored as the 6-0 car. We'll get that fixed, get that taken care of. Still in 11th, Thomas Andrews, the Season 4 champion, running in 10th right now, and he gets a big wiggle out of the TNT Miller Dodge. The Charger slams the front valence down on the pavement. Withers now right behind him. This is the battle for 10th, with Malco Falco cheering on Tommy, which could be Tommy Withers, it could be Tommy Andrews, could be two-time champion Tom Sears, who knows? You heard the blip in the throttle. Withers just has to be a little bit careful going through that dog leg. And Falco letting us know he's cheering on Tommy Withers. How about David Houck? We haven't seen him in Thursday Night Thunder in an incredibly long time. The Los Angeles native sitting in that 6th position behind Jeff No, who's rounding out the top 5. Jeff No, not necessarily full-time in every last TNT season he's run in, but No has won before in Thursday Night Thunder. I think it was Season 4 he ends up getting the win at Richmond. Absolute shocker. Absolute shocker, but I think it might have been his first TNT race as well, but Jeff No kind of put his he put his flag in the ground that night at Richmond, and he said, I'm here. He sits in 5th right now behind one of those Bluegrass Bandits, Briley Wright, as David Howe comes into heavy contact with the outside turn 3 wall. Newcomer Cody McFadden now behind him. Cody has to get around that 21. McFadden in that 6'4", now rolling behind Houck in that 2-1, still hasn't been able to get around him. Looking further up onto the podium positions now, argument for that 3rd position. The 2-9, Briley Wright, that GoodWrench.com Chevrolet, just to the inside of Nick Pressey. They're going to dance through that dogleg one more time. And Wright just avoids the rumble strips, as is probably a good idea. They will trip up a driver. A lot of folks now used to the new configuration of Phoenix. The start-finish line on this legacy configuration, right on the flat bit of the racetrack, where Pressey and Wright are going side by side. That's where you would expect the start-finish line for the new configuration, and all that grass on the inside does not exist. So for these drivers, in these Gen 4 cars, as Jeff No wants a piece of this action, they're really going to have to be careful. They're going to have to monitor just how heavy they press that gas pedal. The Drip Diecast and Collectibles Race Facts telling you 170 miles is going to be the race distance tonight. Cody McFadden still not able to get around David Hauck, even with that extreme damage on the right front. Drivers going approximately 50 to 60 laps, maybe for tires. They do get 4 tire changes in tonight's race. The fuel may last longer than that, but with the extra horsepower, they're going to be spinning these tires in quite a heavy fashion. The 6-4 of McFadden now behind the 2-1 of Hauck out of that second corner. Is he trying to get some sort of draft or maybe just a little bit of an advantage into the corner? Aiden Norman leading Toby Estes by 0.3 of a second. The Season 6 Richmond winner in that camouflage Budweiser Chevrolet. Now coming up behind Norman in that 6-2. Let's go on board with the third of 3 Bluegrass Bandits in tonight's race. Curse of the Commentator strikes. Toby Estes decides to decorate that wall with his camouflage paint. And the number 8's going to have a really bad scrape on the right side. Check this out. Oof. And now he's invited Brooklyn's Nick Pressey. Dodge at the front, Chevy's second, third, and fourth. Toby Estes now has to get back on the horse, but does he have damage that's going to prevent him from catching up to Aiden Norman? What was 0.3 of a second is now 1.2 seconds as the defending champion, the native of Dobson, North Carolina, now running away with the lead. Of the rookies this season, Cody McFadden so far doing the best in that 6-4, the iBuyPower Impala. Just running his race, plenty of racing remaining. The 6-4 of McFadden just taking his time, while another rookie behind him, Brandon Fetterplace, in that Toyota Camry, sitting in the 8th position. Tommy Withers leading this just mad pack of cars, 2x2, 2 rows deep through the dog leg. Let's go on board with Donald Ray. He started second today. Donald Ray almost goes around in spectacular fashion. The native of Rockwall, Texas, almost lost his race car. Have another look. The number 5. How about that? Just almost colliding. Another look. There's Tom Sears getting around the 5 of Donald Ray. I mean, luckily, heads up move. Heads up move. The man knew what to do. Now he's to the inside of Cody Riggs again, and the Greensburg, Kentucky native in the 15th position. Up against that wall, Donald Ray just on the inside, and it looks like he might get away with this one, but Riggs has the run on the outside. And there's Ray on the rumble strips again, but he uses the grip there. The car doesn't get too loose for him. And that number 5 Shell Pontiac now advances into 14th. Jonathan Honeybrink, Season 4 Talladega winner in the Home Depot Pontiac Grand Prix. He's got Jack Mulkey behind him in the 98 Tide Ford, running in that 17th position. Big fan of the New York Yankees, Mulkey, now trying to get a championship of his own. And the fan of the Bronx Bombers now behind that 2-0 of Honeybrink, and Mulkey blinking right behind Honeybrink in the 2-0. Hopefully that gets fixed. Here's Donald Ray. He's on the move now, looking to get to the inside of Josh Garrison. That puts Donald Ray up into the 13th position. Lucky number 13 for the Texan. Pressey opens the door for Jeff No. This is the battle for the 4th spot. Season 4 champion Thomas Andrews running on an island by himself. 1.8 seconds behind Brandon Fetterplace. Steven Oberstadt, one of the rookies in the Sundrop Chevrolet, on the outside of 2-time champion Tom Sears. Sears on the inside of Tommy Withers. A winner at Daytona in recent memory. You saw Withers just get loose. Go on board with Tommy Withers. Have a listen to that. Well saved by Withers. 900 horsepower in these race cars. Up until this season of Thursday Night Thunder, these drivers have not had the experience to drive in a Gen 4 car. Yet here we are. And just look at the order of these drivers coming through. Nick Pressey now behind David Houck. Brandon Fetterplace trying to get around Cody McFadden in that 6-4. Pressey just barely hanging on. Josh Garrison side by side with Cody Riggs. How about Nitro Nick Simpson from ENEA in a version of his own Coal Trickle City Chevrolet? He's running in that 20th spot right now, trying to take on Central Florida's Richie Catania. Couple of blinks messing up the order of things, but no worries. Catania holding on with a big slide out of that second corner. Josh Garrison's in the wall. We stay green. What happened to Garrison? Oh, by this time, he's already spun. Was it a one-car incident? Let's go back one more time, see if we can find out what happened here. Oh, Garrison and Riggs make contact, and then Garrison tries to save it. He doesn't end up hitting anything. Great save by Josh Garrison. Have one more look. Fantastic save. Honeybrink behind in the 20. These two make contact. Honeybrink just avoids all of that. Jack Mulkey gets around them all. And Elrich George in the Sharpie Ford looks like he just sneaks on through. No, that wasn't Elrich George. Who's in that Sharpie Ford? Is that? Well, we'll take a look. Simpson going through. A native of Arizona, a native of nearby Glendale, Arizona. Ryan Pinnell running in that 20th position, trying to put on a show for the home fans. That Ford Fusion right now running in that top 20. Hopefully he gets further up for his hometown fans, while Aiden Norman sits at the front of this one. 3.3 seconds the gap. Toby Estes back in that second position. This is what the gap has looked like over the last 5 laps. Estes just not able to keep up with Norman, and another wiggle out of turn number 2. But again, the tires are going to tell the story tonight. Aiden Norman in that 6-2. He can lead, but does he need to conserve given just how hard he's been driving this car? Toby Estes needs to claw his way back, but he's proved he can stick with the leaders. Before he made heavy contact with the wall, Toby was just 0.3 of a second behind Aiden Norman. How about another Bluegrass Bandit, Briley Wright, just barely holding off Jeff No, but enough to keep Briley in that 3rd position. Fetter Place, McFadden, a couple of rookies, and McFadden, the worse off of the two, just trying to hold on to her. Thomas Andrews on the outside wants to get around. Let's go on board with the Season 4 champion. Almost makes you dizzy, don't it, that gyro cam? Davey Houck now running in that 6th position, still ahead of Fetter Place, who's going to look to the inside. Fetter Place says, I've been patient enough. The 34 Toyota goes to the inside of that 21 Chevrolet. They come out of that 2nd corner. Houck still in front, Fetter Place behind, and looking to get closer up to that top 5 position. Fetter Place to the inside with those chrome rims. He's finally opened up daylight to the inside of Houck. 34 laps into this race. Davey Houck now on the outside. And now running off the pace, Thomas Andrews on the inside. Trying to make it work for him. Now Donald Ray in that number 5 Pontiac goes to the inside, almost 2x2 through that dog leg. The 5 car going into that 3rd corner now with the advantage. The 2 of Andrews on the back foot through turns 1 and 2. Turns 3 and 4. I'm confused myself. On the modern configuration, this is now turns 1 and 2. No, it's not. See, you know what? Ignore everything that I've been saying up until this point. I have no idea what's going on. Brendan Fetterplace almost gets into it. Elrich George and Richie Catania are going to make contact. These two just trying to stay off each other. The native of Nassau in the Bahamas just bouncing off of the outside wall. That did not go well, and George still up against it. The 7-Up Dodge in some big trouble. And you can just hear it's a real tough time getting going again for Elridge George. 40 laps underway of the scheduled 170. The Bahamian hits the wall again, but he keeps on moving. Tommy Withers came down did he come down pit road? He did. He decided to pit on lap 38, the Ford Thunderbird. Getting tires, fuel, everything else he might need. The 6 continues moving forward. Cody McFadden, one of those rookies, still in 6th. It looks like Nick Pressey is on his way into the pits, and he is. The 94 coming on down. Tires, fuel, and everything else on order for these drivers. Two-time champion Tom Sears now around turn number 1, and there is the defending champion Aiden Norman. Tires and fuel for the race leader. Right sides should go up, and they do. His crewmen are actually wearing suits. You gotta love it. Jeff No, now coming down pit road himself. It's time for the number 55 to get some nourishment for his race car. Fetter Place McFadden Andrews. What a save by your Season 4 champion, Thomas Andrews. Your Seasons 1 and Season 3 champion, Tom Sears. Now coming out of turn number 2, still with the lead. He has not yet come down pit road. Steven Oberstadt is in that second position in the number 38. How are you now, Cody Riggs, that Bluegrass Bandit, sitting in third in the 3 car. He has yet to come down pit road. And he now will take the AC Delco Chevrolet down pit road. Got to woe it down to the right speed, Cody. Don't mess it up. 44 miles an hour. There's your race leader, Steven Oberstadt. There's Aiden Norman, moving at an incredibly good clip. 130, 120 now into turn number 1. He's going to back it down to 110 miles an hour, while Cody Riggs, Steven Oberstadt, and John Honeybrink sit at 0. Norman goes green. 27.99. Best personal lap for Aiden Norman. 28.05. Toby Estes also goes green. Norman goes purple. 27.88. Fastest lap of the race for Aiden Norman, and he's made contact with that outside wall in turn number 2. He may be fastest, but he is the most dangerous. Just out of pit road, the Logitech Dodge has a heavy scrape. Norman better hope he does not have damage on the right side of that race car. If he does, could be a severe problem. Norman still leading this race. Toby Estes in that second position. Jeff No in third after all the pit stops cycle through. Andrews goes green, 28.23. He sits in 11th right now, 1 second behind David Houck. Elridge George just rim riding in that 7-Up Dodge Intrepid. The number 40 still running in 14th, however. Elridge George, the last driver who has not pit. And it looks like that changes now. A little bit loose into the corner, but he saves it. Fetter Place green, 28.16, 28.17 for Cody McFadden. These two rookies doing their jobs, staying in top 10 contention. 28.20, Thomas Andrews pulls another personal best. Caution free so far. If you've just tuned in, you haven't missed a thing. Toby Estes, your race leader. Davey Houck goes off the wall. No, sorry, Aiden Norman with a massive blink. I thought I missed something. I didn't. Norman's leading by 6 seconds. Toby Estes there. 6 seconds off the pace. And they continue to revolve around the racetrack. Estes, one of those Bluegrass Bandits, in conjunction with Cody Riggs, running in the 14th position, and Briley Wright with a big blink, who's running in 5th as well. Nick Pressey in that 94, sitting in that 5th position. Donald Ray in the 5 car, now running in 6th. Elridge George now coming out of pit road, briefly 3 wide. Ray's going to hold on to that one. He's in the 5th spot right now. He's come with pretty close to a couple of incidences this last time through. but he looks like he's got control of his race car so far. These are your top speeds. Aiden Norman at 160. Looks like Jack Mulkey's got 161. Tommy Withers with a top speed of 151 miles an hour. Withers currently running in the 8th position. Cody Riggs now running in 15th. Ryan Pennell, is he being scored out of this race? Nope, there he is. Just some internet connectivity issues for Pennell in that 12. A lot of internet issues for some folks tonight, but no worry, the show goes on. This is the battle for third right now. Jeff No just ahead of Briley Wright. Davey Hauk running in 10th. Look at this cluster here. Withers up ahead in that Valvoline Thunderbird. Scrapes the wall. And there's Hauk in the singular Impala now trying to come up behind that 6. Thomas Andrews in the 2. Sits behind, I'm just going to say Withers. He sits behind Hauk in the 2-1 now. And then John Honeybrink just behind them all. Cody McFadden just ahead of this train of cars. Got to give it up to McFadden and Fetterplace. They've both done exceptionally well. Jeff No gets around Briley Wright. Is he going to be able to pull away with this one? Toby Estes sitting in 2nd. He'd love to have another Bluegrass Bandit up there with him. Nick Pressey sitting in 5th right now. Side by side out of turn number 4. Hauk just behind the 6 car. Thomas Andrews watching it all unfold. A little bit of love to the outside wall for Thomas Andrews. Davey Hauk goes away with the 9th position. Andrews still fighting for it, however. Aiden Norman again being scored out of this race. Is the internet finally giving up for Norman? And there he is back at the top. A lot of big blinks for Norman. He's lucky he's fast. Let me tell you, if these blinks were happening in the middle of a pack, they would ask him, sir, please kindly get out of the way. Aiden Norman continues to lead in that 6-2. Although if I do get a chance to talk to him today, I got to ask him what's up with the headlights on that Charger. They're looking a little funky there, Aiden. Got to fix those up. Toby Estes, 8 seconds behind Aiden Norman. And at this point, it might just seem that Toby's only hope could be Aiden's erratic internet. Jeff No, almost 3 seconds behind Toby. While these guys continue to fight it out. And Tom Sears might get a whiff of this as well. He's all over the back end of Jack Mulkey's 98. Sears in the 14 to the inside of the Tide Ride. Out of turn number 2, the 2-time champion moves into the 11th position, but can he hang on? Jeff No starting to sweat. The native of Yadkinville, North Carolina, just ahead of Briley Wright, but Briley seems to be inching closer. These are the numbers over the last 5 laps. Jeff No, just a little bit slower than Toby Estes those last 2 laps, although the 3 laps prior, Jeff was quicker. Briley, though, starting to catch up on Jeff, so Jeff needs to make a decision. He's got to keep going forward, or he's got to just sit there and wait for Briley Wright to come eat him alive here, because the gap is shrinking, but Jeff now seems he's just going to pull away with this one easily. Briley must have had a hiccup or something, because that 2.9 just fell right off the pace, and Jeff is out to a 1 second gap between them. Tommy Withers, on the other hand, all over the back end of Davey Haug into that third corner, about to complete lap 60. And there is race leader Aiden Norman, who's about to complete lap 61. There's Cody Riggs sitting in that 15th position. Jeff Noah with a big blink. Briley Wright with a big blink as well. They're being scored out of this race. 13 cars, now 14 cars left on the lead lap with Cody Riggs. There he is in the AC Delco Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And play the Jaws music, because here comes Aiden. Got to keep going back to this guy here, Cody McFadden. Running in that 8th spot right now. You also got to give flowers to Brandon Fetterplace. They have kept their noses out of trouble. Tommy Withers gets right up to the back end of that 2-1 Chevrolet. Nothing can be done there. Ryan Pinnell, a native of Arizona, just ahead of that 18 of Josh Garrison. Not racing for position. Garrison finds himself running in the 22nd spot. Austin Mongold in 23rd, out of this race. George in the 40. On the inside of John Honeybrink. Again, not for position. Elridge George racing on lap 61. John Honeybrink on lap 62. So they are just about one revolution apart from each other. The 21 stays ahead of that 6, but they've got to make a decision, because Tom Sears can only be so patient. The native of Southampton, Mass, into that third corner, trying to get a great run out of turn number 4. Let's see if he pulls it off. Backs up the corner beautifully, but he just can't find a way to the inside of Withers in the 6. And Sears had to make a decision there. He had to lay well off the back end of Tommy Withers, but it does take patience to be successful, and that's exactly what he is being, is patient. Tristan Catania in the number 48 Sharpie car. Got to love this. This is an awesome paint scheme. He said before the race, make sure you get plenty of TV time for my race car, man, and let's do exactly that. Let's admire this Sharpie ride, because this is pretty fantastic. Matter of fact, let's go on board with Tristan, and we'll take some more looks at the car. I do like pretty unique paint schemes, and you got to give it up to Tristan. That's pretty fun. So whoever put that up on Trading Paints, or if Tristan did it himself, just absolute credit and props. That is something special to see. And the whole time we were seeing that, Tom Sears worked his way into the 10th position. Check this out. Looks like you got a 2-for-1 special there to the inside of the 6 of Withers and Houck in the 21. John Honeybrink, in the meantime, he's going to come in, and it looks like that's going to open up the floodgates because Jack Mulkey is now coming in. This could be the second round of green flag pit stops. Toby Estes sitting in second, almost 10 seconds off the race leader. The last time Aiden Norman came down into the pits, he had a catastrophe coming out, and the native of North Carolina has got to be careful. Cody Riggs now behind Steven Oberstadt, these two battling for lucky number 13. Side by side, they drag race through that dog leg into turn number 3. Oberstadt in 11th, Riggs in 12th. You love to see it. Oh, Riggs with a big tail slide out of turn number 4. He just keeps her pointed in the right direction. That's what you love to see. These cars just hanging the tail out. Tommy Withers now behind that 3, not for position. This battle is for position. Donald Ray and Nick Pressey are going to fight it out for that 5th spot. John Honeybrink now gets to the inside of Brandon Fetterplace in that 34, not for position. These stops are cycling around quickly. Toby Estes, almost 10 seconds the gap between first and second. Donald Ray now to the inside of Nick Pressey. Ray looks like he gave it a heavy wiggle out of turn number 2. He just had to let off the throttle. Let's go on board with the native of Rockwall. And he's going to bring it down for tires and fuel and anything else he can get his hands on while Nick Pressey continues to circulate around Phoenix. He's in the 5th spot. John Honeybrink gets around him. That Honeybrink that just got into the wall and might have made some contact. Somebody sure did. Might have been Elridge George in the 4-0. Norman still leading this race. Jeff No now moves into second with Briley Wright sitting in 3rd. Toby Estes decides to come down for tires and fuel. And how is this going to shake things up? McFadden now behind Thomas Andrews. These two are going to fight it out as well. On board from the back end of Andrews. Jeff Noe right now leading the march. The double 5, TJ's team Chevrolet in first. Aiden Norman is now into the pits, and there is Jeff Noe. Norman had a blink there. He was being scored in second, but there is Jeff Noe. Now coming around to collect that first spot. Nick Pressey will stay out as well. Brandon Fetterplace sitting in that fourth spot. Now everybody moves up a position. Thomas Andrews with a big reputation for saving fuel, for being very savvy when it comes to fuel economy. Could that be the feather in the cap for Andrews? Here he comes up behind McFadden. Always been a numbers guy, Andrews. Always seems to make it work for him. Nick Pressey is going to make it work down in pit road. The 94 comes on down, and the native of Brooklyn will catch his breath. No, with a couple of blinks. Fetterplace, will he be in a position to take over if No's out? Elridge George, an obstacle that these drivers are going to get through. And George, like a gentleman, removes himself from the equation. And these guys continue racing. Tommy Withers, he's in 11th. He's going to move up a spot with these pit stop cycles. Thomas Andrews in second. The sun's starting to set, and some areas of this track becoming shady as well. We'll see how that affects the rest of this race. Tom Sears in third. Toby Estes goes green. 27.94, his personal best. Aiden Norman is 9 seconds ahead of him, climbing through the cycle as well. Last time around, Norman 28.14. Estes still not as fast as Norman, but Toby did prove he can hang with Norman. If he could just catch back up to the 62, we would have an incredible finish to this race. Nicky Simpson goes green. Shout out to fans of the 46. He just turned in his personal best, 28.45 seconds on the chart for Nick. The City Chevrolet sits in the 19th position, so he's gotten just inside that top 20. Nick last pitting on lap 79, so well off cycle. Who knows, a late race caution could break him back into the mix. Smoke up ahead. David Houck now re-entering the racing surface. Does he still have damage on the right front? No, he's gotten that fixed up, so the singular Chevrolet rides in mint condition. Richie Catania just gets around him. Richie running in that 20th position for now. Simpson goes green again that last time through, and now Richie goes green, 28.36. For the Central Floridian. His younger brother, Tristan, currently running in 11th right now. Tristan last pitting on lap 42, so he is due for a pit stop. Tom Sears now comes in. Aiden Norman reassumes the race lead, and he's got a huge mess of traffic ahead of him. Norman looking to put cars a lap down, trying to get some insurance if a late race caution comes out. Toby Estes, 10.5 seconds later, reassumes the second position. Norman putting on a masterclass. We're just past the halfway mark, but Aiden still has work to do if he wants to be in contention at the end. On board with the defending champion and current race leader. Norman just taking his time with it now. If you've just tuned in, you have not missed a thing. Caution free from iRacing's Phoenix. Tom Sears went green 28-21. The two-time champion running in that 11th spot. There's Tommy Withers on the outside of Josh Garrison. He's running in 21st. Richie Catania looks like he's gone around, having a tough time saving it. Just one car so far, and the wheels keep on turning on that DuPont Chevrolet. Let's see what happened to Rich. Just losing control. But it keeps the 24 moving. And we stay green. Caution free in 92 laps of racing. Richie still slow in that 2-4. Cody Riggs will get around him in the number 3 AC Delco ride. Cody up to the 13th position. It's been kind of a resurgence for him. He fell off a bit, but he's back where he started. In 11th now with some pit stops cycling around. Nick Pressey in the 94 opening up the door to Cody McFadden. The rookie showing no fear to the pilot from Brooklyn. Thomas Andrews also behind the rookie McFadden. It is a tough race car to get used to. A lot of these guys have been in Thursday Night Thunder since the first season back on Xbox. Still here now in its 7th iteration. Every year adding new guys, new names to the roster like Cody McFadden, guys that can compete. Nick Pressey running in 6th, just ahead of McFadden. Brandon Fetterplace in that 3-4. Sitting in 6th. He's the best of the incoming rookie class this year. There's Donald Ray just up ahead, rounding out the top 5 in car number 5. Ryan Pennell with a little bit of steam. He's now catching up to Tristan Catania. This is the battle for the top 15. Let's go on board with the hometown flavor of the week, Ryan Pennell. I didn't think he was coming into pit road. He simply just lost control of the race car, but Pennell keeps it moving, keeps it off the wall. Nice save by the Arizona pilot. He comes out of turn number 2, pointed in the right direction. The Hooters Ford keeps on trucking. Let's see how many times these guys have gone off track. Pennell looks like he has not gone off track there, just more than once. Both Catanias off track both times. There is Aiden Norman, fastest time of them all, 27.88 seconds. I think he's the only. Nope, there's another sub-28 time, Toby Estes, with a 27.93. Just unbelievable speeds that they're running. Positions lost and gained. You see the biggest winner so far. Tom Sears up 7 spots from where he started. Nick Pressey down 5, but still plenty of race remaining. 71 laps when they cross the line this time by. Cody McFadden, Nick Pressey, just a few tenths of a second away from each other. Thomas Andrews also in the mix. McFadden just 3 tenths behind him. Pressey also just chasing, but is it patience time? Aiden Norman getting around Nick Pressey. I believe now leaving, 8 cars on the lead lap? 8 cars now left on the lead lap. Aiden Norman picking them off one by one. Masterclass for the 62. But we've come to get used to this, as he's going to put a rookie a lap down. Cody McFadden in the 6-4. Just ahead of Aiden Norman. Norman doing a brilliant job in that 6-2, just on that inside of Cody McFadden. They won't make contact off of turn number 2. And how about the rookie holding his own against the defending champion? Aiden Norman and Tom Sears, the only two-time champions in TNT. Norman, winner of Season 6 and Season 5. There's your Season 4 champion, Thomas Andrews. Season 1 and 3 champion, Tom Sears. And your Season 2 champion, Juan Garza, not in the roster. No running in fourth. 3 seconds ahead of Donald Ray. One more pit stop possibly looming for these drivers. They're able to go about 40 laps, much less than estimated by those drip diecast and collectibles race facts. So the quick math will tell you it could very well be a 4-stop race. It might take some fuel saving. Aiden Norman able to go to lap 80 last time through. Briley Wright, lap 80. Jeff No, able to go to lap 85. Interesting. If he can keep saving just about 3 to 4 laps every time, Jeff might have enough to go to the end if we don't get a green-white checker, and we'll have 3 attempts at that. Thomas Andrews, last pitting on lap 84. He might be trying to save as well. Aiden Norman's going to have to do a big job of saving, but I think he's going for the strategy where if he just goes fast enough and laps enough people, he's not going to have to worry about it because he could run out of fuel on the last lap and it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. The North Carolinian, 15 seconds ahead of Briley Wright. I'm sorry, Toby Estes, who's in second. Briley Wright's in third. So the state of Kentucky has 2 drivers on the podium thus far. Jeff No running in fourth. Donald Ray sitting in that 5th spot. Ryan Pinnell coming up behind Tristan Catania. These two will continue to battle. Fetter Place holding down 6th. The Ohio pilot, 6/10 ahead of Thomas Andrews. And everybody currently trying to stay away from this guy right here, Aiden Norman, possibly taking his time, maybe taking some of that fuel strategy into consideration. He's got a big dent on the right front corner of that Dodge, by the way. Have a look. You gotta believe that's got to be affecting what's going on with the race car. Norman on his way in on lap 109. It's only been 29 laps since Aiden Norman last came down pit road. Is he possibly trying to short pit and set himself up for the end? Norman can go 40 laps on one run from here. That would put him to lap 150, and then it would be just a 20-lap run to the end for Aiden Norman, possibly just trying to get this damage repaired sooner rather than later. Toby Estes, new leader in car number 8. And a Bluegrass Bandit behind him. Briley Wright in that 2-9 coming up behind the 8 of Estes. Jeff No rolling in 3rd. Brandon Fetterplace in 4th. Thomas Andrews in 5th. Again, Aiden Norman pitting approximately every 40 laps. Pits on lap 40, pits on lap 80. Now pitting on lap 109 with 60 laps to go. So it is still a one-stop race from here for Aiden Norman. And it looks like he needed to get that damage repaired on the 6-2. I can't see a dent on the right front, possibly just trying to use a fast repair and maybe save his race, but he doesn't use a fast repair. The damage is still there for the 6-2, so it is definitely a short pit strategy for Aiden Norman. Toby Estes, your new leader in that number 8. 1/3 of tonight's Bluegrass Bandits up front. There is another third of tonight's Bluegrass Bandits sitting in that 2nd position. Briley Wright in the 2-9. Jeff No, 4 seconds back in that 3rd position. Davey Houck and Cody Riggs side by side. They're not racing for position. Houck in the 2-1 sits 16th. Cody Riggs sits in 9th. So all 3 of the Bluegrass Bandits running in the top 10. God, I love seeing that number 3 AC Delco ride. It's just nostalgic. Ain't that beautiful? Thomas Andrews just ahead of Brandon Fetterplace. Andrews in 4th. Fetterplace rolling in 5th. Those are the numbers over the last 5 laps. Check them out. Personal best for Donald Ray, 28.04 seconds, and the native of Rockwall now runs his fastest lap. Brandon Fetterplace in the wall. And how about a new follower, Emery Time? Welcome. Welcome to Rick James TV. Let me know if you got a favorite in the field. Let me know if you got a favorite something. We could literally talk about anything. There is another, 65, 55 laps to go in this race. It's going to get interesting towards the end. Houck goes green, 28.06. Ray goes green again, 28.03. The car's getting faster. The track is getting cooler. That shade has got to give a lot of grip right there on that outside groove of turn number 1. We'll see if anybody wants to give it a shot. And a broadcaster themselves. Emery Time, appreciate you. Kick back, relax, check out the next 50-some laps of action. Davey Houck on the left-hand side. That's one of the Bluegrass Bandits in that 2-9. Briley Wright. Aiden Norman in the 6-2. Running in 4th. Again, he's got that fresh set of tires. Jeff No now just 7 seconds ahead. Norman does have one more stop to make it to the end. Everybody else in the top 3, Toby Estes, Briley Wright, Jeff No, they have to go 2 stops to the end. 1:30, 1:30 is the magic mark. Any pit stops after that, and drivers should be able to make it to the end of this race on enough fuel. John Honeybrink, he went green. He sits in 17th, 28.21 seconds. Toby Estes has Briley Wright creeping up. These are the numbers over the last 5. Briley that time around, almost 3/10 quicker than Toby. The gap is now 0.8 of a second. little bit of a hiccup with the cameras here. No worries. Jeff No, now your race leader. Aiden Norman sits in second. Toby Estes has come down for tires and fuel. 3 wide out of the second corner as Cody McFadden in that 6-4 gets to the inside of Richie Catania, and almost a disaster as, not Oberstadt, I'm sorry, the 34, Brandon Fetterplace starts scraping the outside wall as Mailman's a new follower to Rick James TV. Appreciate you, Mailman. Let me know if you got a favorite in the chat. Brandon Fetterplace in that 34 now probably has a couple new favorite scrapes on the right-hand side of that Toyota Camry. Fetterplace in the 34 with a lot of work to do this time now. Andrews with a big wiggle out of turn number 2. He's going to invite the 6-4 of Cody McFadden around the outside. Rookie Cody McFadden in his very first Thursday Night Thunder start, getting around the Season 4 champion. Thomas Andrews. Thrills is a big fan of TNT as well, and if you've just tuned in, it's been a caution-free beauty of a race, an absolute gem to kick off this 7th season. A bunch of new rookies in this season. Cody McFadden, one of them. Brandon Fetterplace running in 4th, his first ever TNT start. He's got that Toyota Camry up to the 4th position. Tom Sears, the 2-time champion, in 5th. Other rookies, Nick Simpson, who, well, I was going to say he kept it off the wall, but he's got a giant dent on the right front, and it looks like he's just destroyed the whole right-hand side. Where's Andrew Sauer when you need him? Just Andrew Sauer, a big friend of Nick Simpson, and every time Nick messes up, you can count on Andrew to be there to make fun of him. It's hilarious. Josh Garrison, he's coming down for tires and fuel. It would be a 45-lap run for Garrison to go to the end. Jeff No has yet to pit. 85 was his last time through. He should be in, if not this time, next time around. But again, remember, No could be just one stop away from making it to the end. He last pitted on lap 85. Here comes Aiden Norman to catch up to him, but the difference is No will give up the lead. Aiden Norman with a big wiggle out of the corner. What happened here? This is the lap prior, but it looks like Aiden just lost all sorts of control of that race car. 8/10 the gap. Jeff No, the surprise winner at Richmond in Season 4. He could eke out a win here. It's going to take a lot of fortune, given that Norman, on the front foot with that pit strategy, decides to short pit by 20 laps. But Norman last pitting on lap 109. He cannot go, 61 laps to the end? If he does go 61 laps to the end of this race, it's going to take a lot of focus, because Norman's going to have to hope that not only if the fuel lasts, Norman can hope, but he's going to have to hope that the tires go the distance as well. Jeff No now watching the defending champion creep up. No's on the way into the pits. Aiden Norman, new leader at Phoenix. Norman doing a grand job in that 6-2. Elridge George in the 4-0. still running in this race, and you've got to give it up to the Bahamian, the native of Nassau, in the wall again. It's been that kind of afternoon for him, but he still fights, still rolling in that 18th position. And George still trying his hardest. Thomas Andrews running in that 9th spot. Andrews behind Fetter Place. 4/10 the gap between them. They're fighting it out for that 8th position. Aiden Norman, 21 seconds ahead of Tom Sears. Now, Sears has not pitted since lap 43. So Sears is definitely taking the tires as far as they can go. And we know that the fuel can definitely go this far. This is astonishing. Lap 132, so Tom Sears going, there he is, now he's finally coming in. Briley Wright nearly just clouts him in the back end. But Tom Sears able to make it down into the pits. Almost 91 laps on a run for Sears. So it's going to be 37 laps for Sears on this run of tires and fuel. He knows he can make it. He is gambling on a lot of guys having to come in for service. Aiden Norman puts Donald Ray a lap down. That leaves 3 cars on the lead lap. Norman is picking up right where he left off in Season 6, dominating performances, and he wants a 3rd title in Season 7. Nobody in Thursday Night Thunder has 3 championships. Aiden Norman could be the first. Meanwhile, these 2 hooligans are still fighting it out. Neighbors, they are. Basically neighbors. Toby Estes and Briley Wright, both from the great little town of Greensburg, Kentucky. Shout out to Smokey's Bar and the Bluegrass Bandits. Shout out to everybody down there in Greensburg. Thanks for supporting TNT. Steven Oberstadt, another one of those rookies that we were talking about earlier. He sits in the 12th position right now. 1 second ahead of Cody Riggs. 5 seconds behind Tom Sears, who now has a fresh set of tires, and he's got the freshest tires on the track. He's pitted on lap 131, and he's going to have to give it everything. Norman is in. Aiden Norman is in, and this is his stand. The 6-2 comes down for tires and fuel. The right sides go up on that 6-2. It is a 4-tire stop. Toby Estes reassumes the lead. He last pitted on lap 120. Toby would need to go 50 laps when he's only been going 40 laps. He has the fuel to go the distance, but does he have the speed? Tom Sears just went green, 28-17. He's going to look to take his tires 40 laps to the end of this race. Aiden Norman rejoins in the 4th position with now 9 cars on the lead lap. Norman has to give it everything, and he's used the fast repair as well. What a clutch move. Norman just nursing a wounded car all night long. Uses the fast repair on the 6-2 right before his last run of the race. He's going to drive like a man possessed. What? Oh my gosh, I thought he was coming back down pit road. You saw him hit the lines and you're like, did he get a speeding penalty? And he just went purple. Of course he did. 27.803, fastest lap of the race. Just fresh out of pit road. This is some Michael Schumacher level of performances. This is unbelievable. We'll see if we can do it. 27.80, fastest lap. Toby Estes, he still might have to come down into the pits one more time. Jeff No's going to try to stretch it, but he's only 2 seconds ahead of Aiden Norman. And there's the strategy working out for Norman. Get so far ahead that you can make an extra pit stop. No, and there's Aiden Norman in the wall again. There is Norman in the wall, and this time it is heavy. Right on board with Norman. Oh, and this seems to be the lap prior here. He seems to have his car under control there, but you just saw the race leader, defending champion, Aiden Norman, get into the wall. Last time around, Norman 28.06, Toby Estes 29.54. So even with a damaged race car again, Norman still putting in blistering times as the sun beats down its orange glow on the blue-walled Phoenix Raceway, and the first round starts to come into its closing laps. There's Norman again with a big slide. He's on the rumble strip. Just unbelievable how he's holding on to this race car. Check this out. Just busy hands. You hear him scrape the wall earlier. And another big blink for Norman. Just watch the hands coming out of turn number 2. Constantly busy, never at rest. Sitting in third right now and about to take second. Jeff No on the outside, can't do anything about it. Norman with tires that are 6 laps fresher and that last time around 1.6 seconds quicker. Drivers now coming down into the pits. Elrich George is in. Tommy Withers brings his number 6 Thunderbird in. Gosh, what a paint scheme that is. I've been saying, I know I've been saying this all night, but bear with me. What a paint scheme that is. Look at this. Talk about a throwback Thursday. The number 6 of Withers with that awesome Thunderbird paint scheme. Davey Haug in the singular Chevrolet. In my mind, made popular by Jeff Burton. John Honeybrink with the Tony Stewart Home Depot Pontiac. Richie Catania, Jeff Gordon fan, Jeff Gordon paint scheme. Josh Garrison with an old Busch Series paint scheme. Toby Estes with a Dale Jr. paint scheme. He's now into the pits. There's the Tide Ride. Ricky Craven, remember the 2003 Spring Darlington race? One of the closest finishes in NASCAR history. Another one of those Bluegrass Bandits, Briley Wright in the Kevin Harvick Chevrolet. Donald Ray with a Tony Stewart rookie paint scheme. And if somebody knows IndyCar, maybe they could tell me, but if someone knows IndyCar, tell me who drove this shell paint scheme as well, because I think we saw Tony Stewart drive it, and I think it was in another IndyCar event. I'm not sure. Moldy Muskrat fell asleep and missed the start of this race. So we'll see Noah Belleville next week at Richmond. And there are those upcoming events. Next week, 8:40 p.m. Eastern right here, Rick James TV. And then the week after that, Daytona International on the 31st of August. These Gen 4 cars at Daytona, the sound they're going to make is going to be sensational. Please tune in for that. Drip Diecast and Collectibles bringing you that information as Cody Riggs bounces off the wall and manages to keep it in one single piece. And if you love some of these paint schemes and you want to get your hands on one of these paint schemes, you can do that. Head on over to Drip Diecast and Collectibles on Facebook, your number 1 store on Facebook for NASCAR memorabilia, diecasts, anything you can imagine. You could probably find it on Drip Diecast and Collectibles. Donald Ray in that 5. You might be able to find this Tony Stewart paint scheme. You'll probably be able to find John Honeybrink's paint scheme on there. A lot of great stuff. Drip Diecast and Collectibles on Facebook. Check them out. Just having to sort out those cameras again, you know. Can't kick off a season here without a couple of bugs. Aiden Norman retakes the lead. There's Toby Estes. in that number 8. 1 lap off the pace, but he's going to unlap himself on the inside of Aiden Norman. Last time around, Norman 28.89. Jeff No, who's in second, 29.14. Norman pitting on lap 135, so he should have about a few laps of fuel left. We've got just 20 laps to go in this race. Estes on the inside of Josh Garrison. That's not for position. Toby coming down. He's in 8th right now. There's Tom Sears up ahead in the 7th position, the 2-time champion, last pitting on lap 131. He's going to try and go the distance from there. Nick Pressey may not be able to go the distance. Briley Wright in 5th. Thomas Andrews in 4th. He only pitted on lap 125. Will his tires give him enough? And it is all about those tires. The cars, it is proven, they can do 90 laps on fuel, but the way that the horsepower at the back of these Gen 4 cars shreds those tires, it's going to be a tall order. 50 to 60 laps, that expected pit window. Most drivers going about 40. Oberstadt with a big tail whip. And watch the way that these cars just slide the tail out of the corner. It's beautiful. Been racing here since the 60s. And of course, if you don't know by now, our first race with the Gen 4 race car. Aiden Norman still leading, but the gap is only 3.4 seconds back to Jeff No, and the question will be on the fuel tank for the native of Dobson at North Carolina. The Logitech Dodge is the defending champion of the series for the past 2 years, but is he rusty? Are his calculations off? Will he have enough to get to the end? Toby Estes is on a march forward. He is on the lead lap, but he's going to need the miracle of the caution. In the final 15 laps of competition now, Aiden Norman out of that 4th corner looking to put Briley Wright a lap down in that 2.9. Tom Sears behind him in 7th. Is the lucky dog. If the caution comes out now, Sears will get his lap back, and the RaceArcs.com Supra will have a chance to fight for the win. Nick Pressey behind him wants to be that lucky dog. Toby Estes wants to continue marching forward, but right now Ryan Pennell and Tommy Withers stand in his way. 2 by 2, 2 rows deep. Rookie Nick Simpson is in the mix. Estes just looking for some fresh air. He gets around Simpson. Withers is in the wall in turn number 1. The Valvoline Thunderbird now trying to hold off that Budweiser Chevrolet. Out of 2, what a run by Estes. He is driving like he wants this one, and he still has a chance to win it. Cody Riggs now up ahead in 11th. This is a battle for 11th between Riggs in the 3, Withers in the 6. Estes wants no part of it, but he's in the mix whether he likes it or not. 13 laps to go this time by. Cars all over the place. You just saw the 6 of Withers with a big tail whip. You thought they were going to get into it. Garrison goes green. You love to see that fight. The pilot of that 18 Coast Guard Impala, he's in 20th, but he just put in his personal best. Got to love that competition. Riggs is in the wall, just barely keeping it off Withers in that 6. Cody Riggs last pitting on lap 121. How about Pennell? Hauk behind them. Norman, the race leader behind all of these guys. Let's go on board with Aiden. The 6'2" makes it look effortless. Aiden Norman coming to 9 laps to go in this race. Been at the front for the majority. He's made plenty of mistakes that would take out plenty of other drivers. A couple of hard slaps on the right side of the wall, but he continues to persevere. He leads this race with a 5.5 second gap back to Jeff No. 4 cars on this lead lap, and there is the fourth of them, Toby Estes, who despite a brilliant performance just got let down by the pit strategy. Norman, 5 seconds ahead of No, who's being scored out of this race because the internet connection letting him down at the moment. There's Jeff in the TJ's team Chevy. Just getting to the inside of Nitro Nick Simpson in that 46. Jack Mulkey, Austin Mongold, the only 2 DNFs of tonight's race. Richie Catania in that 24, trying to run up on Elrich George in 18th. Pinnell still has some work to do. Davey Houck almost gets into the 2.9 of Toby Estes. Ryan Pinnell just up ahead, trying to score a top 15 finish for the folks back home in Glendale and all of Arizona. The Hooters Ford sits just ahead of Briley right in the 2.9. That's not for position, but it is for position in the 2.1. Tom Sears just made contact in the wall with his 14 car. Pinnell with a big whip out of turn number 4. Norman coming to 5 laps to go. Pinnell just leading a train of cars behind him. Richie Catania in this mix as well. Josh Garrison in this mix. Pinnell goes to the high side, and it looks like Briley Wright may finally break through. And Pinnell does get around. The 1-2 on the outside of that 2.9. The floodgates may now break. Here comes Houck on the outside. He wants that 14th position. Josh Garrison just slides in front. How about a battle for 9th? The rookies. Let's see who finishes best between these two. Brandon Fetterplace has seemed to be in front for the majority, but we'll see if Cody McFadden in that iBuyPower Chevy just has anything for Fetterplace behind him. The 6'4" running in 9th. Fetterplace in that 3-4, running in 9th. Cody McFadden now 8th. Davey Hoke all over the back end of Ryan Pinnell. McFadden and Fetterplace will continue to do battle. Aiden Norman with just 2.5 miles remaining. 8 seconds the gap back to Jeff No. Toby Estes, 8 seconds beyond that. White flag now in the air. No, I'm sorry, 2 to go. What am I saying? White flag out next time by for Aiden Norman. Jeff No running in that 2nd spot. Toby Estes in 3rd, just trying to get to the inside of Cody Riggs, trying to keep out of everybody's way. Hats off to Cody, doing the gentlemanly thing, keeping the competition moving. Aiden Norman behind him now comes off that 4th corner. White flag in the air for the 6'2". One more time around for Aiden Norman. 170 miles about to be completed. An absolute masterclass. We used that word so many times last season to describe the performance that he would put on, but he's done it again. The 6'2" Logitech Dodge picking up where he left off last season off the 4th corner. Aiden Norman wins round 1 at Phoenix. Jeff No is, well, he's blinking right now, but there is Jeff No. He'll come around to collect that 2nd position. Toby Estes will attempt to collect 3rd. The Budweiser Chevrolet just needs to make it across the line. Thomas Andrews about 7 seconds behind him. He may have crossed the line after. Yep, Andrews is a lap down. He did cross the line after Aiden Norman. So there is car 62. Aiden Norman, tonight's winner at Phoenix. He's going to keep on burning the house down. Norman will celebrate in style. Fans, don't go anywhere. We're going to have top 3 on the podium in just a moment. On the podium now with our top 3. One of the Bluegrass Bandits made it on for the great state of Kentucky. Toby Estes, bronze medal tonight in the Season 7 opener. Good race? Toby? Toby, you with me?
Yeah, I'm here now.
There we go, buddy. All right, we got you, man. 3rd place tonight. Great run.
Yeah, fun run. Slick track and a car with a lot of horsepower, and we went the entire race green. So, hey, that's a win for everybody. Win for the series. Shout out to all the admins. Bluegrass Bandits 1-2. Well, 1-3. I don't know where Bradley finished, but good start to the season for all of us.
Bluegrass Bandit. Is Aiden Norman a Bluegrass Bandit now?
Well, he races part time. He's a part-time guy in the A squared, so he kind of hangs out with us, and hey, we'll take anybody, and he's fast, so he's with us.
Good to know, man. Congratulations on 3rd. We'll see you next week at Phoenix. Jeff No with a silver medal tonight. Jeff, is this a part-time season for you, or are we going to see you more often in TNT? This is a great run.
I got a bad taste in my mouth from last race of the year last year. I got taken out on like lap 15, and it's made me salty all off season. So I'm gonna be here to freaking rip it every week.
2nd place is a really good way to state your intentions for this season, man. Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Hey, thanks, Rick.
Fans at home, don't forget this excellent broadcast brought to you by the good folks over at Drip Diecast and Collectibles, the #1 Facebook store for your NASCAR memorabilia. A lot of the throwback diecast you saw in this race you can find at Drip Diecast and Collectibles, and even things beyond diecast cars. Just every little piece of NASCAR memorabilia, you can find it there. Your #1 Facebook store for NASCAR memorabilia. Go on and grab yourself a piece of history at Drip Diecast and Collectibles on Facebook. The Season 6 champion, Aiden Norman, kicks off Season 7 right where he left off with a victory. The points lead next week at Richmond. Aiden, do you ever take a break from winning?
I try not to. No, it's fun, so I may as well just keep going while I can, because eventually I'm gonna get to the point where I hit a skill gap or a skill ceiling, and I'll be as fast as I can be, but until I hit that point, I'm just going to keep working on improving, trying to get these checkered flags.
Now you got to go for 2 wins in a row at Richmond. Jake Baker's in the chat saying he might be in next week as well, as he offers congratulations. So even more competition as the TNT circus continues. Plans for round 2?
Hopefully the same thing. Just qualify on pole, get out to an early lead. I really like having clean air on my nose at the start. It helps me build a gap, which is kind of what I did here tonight. I don't think I would have beaten Jeff without that huge gap. I was able to take an extra pit stop and still get back past him. But I mean, that works, especially in TNT. I think tonight kind of proves why this is the best series in ARC. So slippy track, slippy car. We went flag to flag with a bunch of new people, unfamiliar faces, and it was just a really fun night and really good showing from everyone.
A great showing, and we get to do it again next week, man. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you at Richmond.
Thank you, Rick.
Fans at home, round 1 in the books. How do you like that for a Thursday night? Aiden Norman, your race winner, and the circus continues next Thursday at the Richmond Raceway. You're really going to want to tune in for that, so do not miss a thing. And until that next race, everybody, please stay safe. Do take care of each other, and we will see you all next week at the